Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. And let me just tell you this. The women are not playing around. I'm going to say it right now. I'll probably say it about 200 more times as I do this video. Women are not playing with Clarissa Shields. Let me do something here with this microphone real quick. All right. Looks like it's back on. Let me make sure I got the right mic going. Go here. Properties. Okay. Yep, but the women are not playing with Clarissa Shields. I don't know how else to tell you that. All I'm going to say is this. I had a couple women come at me, and they were like, what don't you understand? Hood champion, you say you're 50 years old, but you don't seem to quite dislike Clarissa Shields the way we dislike her. Now, to that I say, in the most respectful way, it's for you to hold your horses and stop taking it to the stupid. I'm not going to feel the way you feel. My issue with Clarissa Shields is the Layla Ali stuff. And your issue with Layla Ali, with Clarissa Shields, is probably a lot more than just her disrespecting Layla Ali and Muhammad Ali. And I realize that. And trust me, I get it. I've been listening to the ladies talk, and there's something that the ladies have been talking about. It's called girl code. And it matters. But what we're discussing here is public perception, emotional reaction, not legal facts or private conversations, although some private conversations were leaked by Remy about Papoose and Clarissa Shields. But the women are angry at Clarissa. They're talking about loyalty. They're talking about girl code, emotional betrayal. So I'm trying to understand why the ladies are out here threatening to, cut the ass out of my drawers. And trust me, I don't like having the ass cut out of my drawers. I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Very uncomfortable having to go and give a presentation first thing in the morning and you know you don't have any ass in your drawers. Almost like you just got on the jockstrap in your freshly pressed uniform and your boots are nice and shiny. You got a nice haircut, cleanly shaven, and you up there trying to brief a room full of professionals and you ain't got no ass in your drawers. I know, ladies, how y'all can get when it comes to certain things. But girl code is not written law. It's emotional law. At its core, girl code means something to the ladies. Doesn't mean much to us guys because we, for the most part, don't give a shit about nothing. You see, with the ladies, I'm realizing you don't cross romantic lines with someone connected to a woman you befriended. If you come and befriend a woman and she has a man, that man is off limits. Clarissa Shields violated that. You don't build trust and then blur boundaries and try to play stupid. You don't benefit from intimacy and later act detached from it. You see, for many women, because of this how women are treated, women don't have it easy. From the women who you may not find the most attractive to the women you may find sexy beyond comprehension. All women have a common thread through them where they, at some point in their life, have been violated, mistreated, or made to feel that they were less than. So when it comes to girl code, I think amongst women, that almost represents safety. We got each other's back. We know how hard it is. We don't need to tear each other down. We should support each other. There should be safety amongst us women. It's how women protect themselves in a world where trust is already fragile. So when women feel it's violated, the reaction isn't logical, it's visceral. So for Clarissa Shields to come out here and have violated girl code when it comes to Remy, all the ladies globally who have learned about how Clarissa got to know Papoose, Clarissa, how she knew Remy, everything that was going on before Clarissa really started dealing with Papoose. They say this is a bad situation. Clarissa is disgusting. We don't respect her. We don't like her. That's why when I do the lives, it's an open line. Any and everyone can call in. It's really all about the ladies. Guys are welcome too. But the ladies don't play around. They feel like, you know what, man? Remy was violated. We feel violated. The one thing I realized after talking with the ladies, all of these ladies have experienced a Clarissa Shields situation at some point in time in their lives, either directly or indirectly, where you got the chicken head side chick who's out there doing whatever with somebody's boyfriend or somebody's husband. And women don't respect that at all. Now, for all the women watching, it definitely feels personal. You know, when you get to know these celebrities, man, you know, whether it's an athlete or whatever profession, you almost feel an attachment to them like you know them. And that's why when it comes to this Clarissa Shields stuff, I think they're reacting to Clarissa Shields to a certain extent specifically, but I think they're reacting to their own lived experiences, like I mentioned. Now, I'm going to tell you, I have been out, especially back in the day when I was first name single, last name mingle. That's how I would introduce myself to women whenever I was out. They say, "What's your name?" I'll be like, "Oh, my first name single." They're like, "Well, yeah, last name mingle. What's up? Give me your number. Matter of fact, take my number." I write my name on a piece of paper, 2 different places, rip the small piece of paper. I put one in her hand, and then take the other one, put it inside her bra. And then she let me squeeze her breast. I would squeeze her breast and put it in there. And most of them shot, "Oh, boy, you crazy." But I already knew how far I could go. All right? But when I was living that life, I know being in the club with a woman and she have friends and she'd be like, "Oh, I'm going to get a drink, or I'm going to use the restroom," and I'm there, and her friend come at me. You know what I'm saying? I've been through that. Standing there chilling with a friend and his wife come at me. Then the wife there and the friend come at me. All this shit happening at the same time. But I ain't play that shit with like my friends and all that. I ain't play that. I would blow the girl's spot up right there in front of him. Right in front of him. "Hey, yo, your girl just did X, Y, and Z." Because it wasn't going to be no he say, she say when it come to me. Fuck that. Period. But I understand. There are some women out there who don't care. They don't care. So when I think about the women who are so angry at Clarissa Shields and ready to cut the ass out my drawers again, they're reacting to their own lived experiences. You see, many women have had friends get close and cross lines, have been vulnerable with someone who later disregarded them, have seen trust weaponized quietly, not loudly. So when they see a public figure in a similar situation, it triggers old wounds, unresolved anger, a sense of, "I've seen this before." This is projection, but projection is powerful. Now, the thing with Clarissa Shields, I hear what people say. And let's be honest, I'm not here to tear any woman down. But when I look at Remy Ma and I look at Clarissa, even Remy Ma from 10 years ago, because my understanding is she may have had a few things done, whatever, right? I don't know. I don't keep up with it like y'all. I'm just going off what the women say in the chat. But it doesn't matter. You could take Remy before she went to prison. That Remy, physically, is more attractive than Clarissa Shields. Okay? I'm not trying to be mean. Just my opinion. You may disagree. But this Remy, even that Remy then, Clarissa can't compete. But this Remy right now, she looking like she may have some Hawaiian in her blood. You know what I'm saying? Her skin looking nice, body looking nice. For her age, the breast looking nice, butt looking nice. And I'm not saying this from a perverted posture. I'm just telling you as a male who's sitting here watching, I'm telling you what I see. Someone who's very attractive, eye candy. Get a little bit hungry looking at her. With Clarissa Shields, you lose your appetite, right? I'm just being honest with you. I listen to Remy Ma talk. I want to hear her. Clarissa come out here and start growling and shit. I shut shit down. I can't take it. There is no comparison. So when I hear the women talk about Clarissa Shields, I understand. They feel like Clarissa made side chick moves because that's the best she could be because she's not good enough, attractive enough, or have any kind of etiquette or ladylike qualities to really be somebody's woman, wife, significant other. Because when it comes to levels of attractiveness, self-confidence, she doesn't have it, Remy has it, and the women out there feel like the old goddamn bloodhound came in here and disrupted a home that many women feel was happy. I don't know about all that. But what I do think is when they watch Clarissa Shields and they watch Papoose and they learn that Clarissa had somewhat of a rapport with Remy before even really talking to Papoose, I think they have old wounds and unresolved anger about their own situations. And when they look at that, they're like, I've seen this shit before. And now here it is, you got this girl who's not attractive coming in here doing whatever she can because guys are going to be guys for the most part. I don't know many guys that are going to turn down some poom poom and shit. You know what I'm saying? They look at that and say, this is how shit happens. Because look, man, as a guy, you only been so far before you break. Women too. But if that's why with me, I try not to be in situations. I don't go into any environment till all of a sudden, haircut, edging up the beard and this, Jiggy John O, I'm up in the club, boom, lights, camera, action again. I don't want that. I know what comes with that shit. I don't want that. But when you just out and about in a grocery store somewhere and you get the chicken head that's just throwing herself at you, that can make you, think about some shit, even if she's not the most attractive. And see, this is why for me, proximity matters. Can't allow yourself to be in close proximity with a chicken head. And from a perception standpoint, we got to talk about the Remy Ma dynamic. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm sitting there looking, but we don't know what was going on in that house between Papoose and Remy and Papoose. Nobody knows. I just know for me, following boxing, I was surprised to hear that Clarissa Shields was with the rapper Papoose. And to hear about this drama, because I knew who Remy was, but I didn't follow her and Papoose. I never watched none of that love and hip hop shit. I never did. I never watched any of those shows. Never once in my life. I knew it was there, but I never watched it. I was too busy. I was still working and have kids and family. I watched that bullshit. I was watching Yo Gabba Gabba. Just being honest with you. Go Diego Go. Watching no bullshit on them goddamn drama ass TV shows. But I understand that Clarissa and Remy were seen interacting positively. Fashion advice, encouragement, there was mutual respect. At least how it was perceived publicly. Now that creates the appearance of closeness. And that is a problem with the ladies. They're like, yo, Clarissa had become close with Remy. And then she all of a sudden started out there trying to pitch a little woo with Papoose, even if he showed up at a fight and was like, how you doing? It doesn't matter. She should have been the type of person to do like what I said, and you draw that line in the sand and you push people back. I know if me as a man who could have been, I've always been, when I was single, very accommodating to the ladies. More the better. More the better. I always joke about it. No kidding. That was the goal. 31 days in a month, I need to have 31 different women. That was how I moved. That was the goal. And guys just sit back and hate. But one thing I did not do, I never ever tried to add in those 31 days for one of those girls to be a friend of mine's girl, a friend of mine's wife, or a girl who's with someone who I know. Never. Never. I've had situations where they stepped to me and I had to push them back. I'd be like, nah, man, you were messing with my boy over there. And they'd be like, oh, well, if I didn't know him, I'd tell him straight. Well, if you did know him, you didn't know him, you would never have an effing chance. And some of them, feelings get hurt. Oh, he's an asshole. Like, I want you to say that about me. That's what you go back and make sure that's what the rumor is. That Hood Champion is an asshole. Hood Champion think he's all that. Hood Champion think his shit don't stink. I like that when it comes to my friends and people I know. Let that be the rumor. And when they say, yo, so-and-so is saying this and that about you, I'm like, yeah, well, this is why. They'd be like, oh, I'd rather have that than them saying, yo, man, I hear you were talking to old girl. I hear you and old girl with this, or y'all were out. I heard you slept with old girl, banging her tonsils out. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather not have that conversation come back to me. Clarissa Shields had an opportunity to make sure she didn't cross any lines with Papoose, and she chose to cross them. And that's a problem. What she did was some shit that a lot of these cornball dudes do. I've been out chilling in clubs. I'm chilling, see some cats in there, you just kind of see, you kind of have a rapport. We ain't friends, but we kind of all right because we see each other. And there's some little chicks in there. And then it's about 4 of them trying to talk to 2 girls. I'm over there in the cut chilling, just breezing. Girls walk through the club, see me. One come, hey, my friend like you. I'm like, she can't talk. Tell her to come here. I don't bite. Then her friend come over, like, oh, I can't because she said you don't bite. I said, well, you nice looking. I may bite you. We joke and laugh. Next thing you know, I'm over there chilling with her. We up in a little dark spot in the club. Ting-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. And while I'm there chilling with her, the fucking hater comes walking around. Oh, man, Hood Champion, you got all the hoes. Man, yeah, man, you got another one. Man, you got every time I see you with a different female. That's hating at the highest level. And the girl who I just met, I'm with, 9 times out of 10, you know what they say? They're like, that dude's a hater. They don't care. But that shit is crazy. But when you look at Remy and you see her and Clarissa interacting positively, looking for fashion advice, encouragement, mutual respect, there was a bit of closeness there. But what I don't understand is when you talk about social terms, that proximity, you see, creates obligation, even if no contract exists. With me and those bozos, with that story I just told you about, there was some proximity there because we knew each other. We didn't know those girls, but once you see me there with them girls, you should have left it alone. They came over hating, still hoping they could say something that could wedge the girl away from me so they can go back and maybe have a shot at her. That's cornball stuff. And I used to just sit back and laugh. But with Remy and Clarissa, there was definitely some proximity there. Way more than me and these cornball clowns at that story I just gave. That story I gave you a true story. I don't make stories up. It's real shit. But with Remy and Clarissa, that sure as hell should have never happened. There's an unwritten contract between women that exists. Because I think from listening to the ladies, women often operate relationally. Emotional closeness, moral responsibility. Even if nothing was owed, something was expected. That expectation is where anger lives, and where the anger lives with the majority of women who call in and talk about Clarissa Shields. And Clarissa Shields hasn't made it easy for herself because, it's just one thing after the next that can make somebody dislike her. You know what I'm saying? One thing after the next. Now, as far as Clarissa maybe having the mentality of I didn't owe her anything. Let me tell you something. That does not land with the ladies. They don't want to hear that bullshit. I didn't owe her anything. Mm-mm. You see, men often process situations with technical boundaries, timeline logic, individual autonomy. But you're always going to have them haters out there who are miserable because they don't have game, so they try to shit on you. And all they do is draw more attention to you, make the woman curious about why is it these guys are hating on you and why so many women like you. And more times than not, you end up cracking them off anyway and shit. You see, I think women often process with emotional continuity, shared space, unspoken understandings. So when people say, because there are some who support Clarissa 100%, Clarissa didn't owe anything to anyone, especially Remy. Remy should have been handling her business. Okay, that's how you feel. But when they hear people say, women say Clarissa didn't owe anyone anything, a lot of women hear your emotional trust doesn't matter. That's why the defense doesn't calm the outrage. It invalidates the feeling and just makes women even more pissed off. Now, loyalty versus independence. This is the core conflict right here. The debate isn't really about men. It really isn't. It's about loyalty versus freedom, sisterhood versus self-interest, collective trust versus individual desire, and someone just being a fucking chicken head. Some women believe I should be free to love who I want. Even Hood Champion agrees with that to a certain extent. But there are others who believe freedom doesn't excuse betrayal. I agree with that 100%. But I will say neither side is crazy. They just have, I think they value different survival strategies. But you just don't violate the girl code and guys don't violate the bro code. I got friends I grew up with, man, from teenagers. I'm talking pre-adolescent, adolescent years to now. We've never violated. We never would. At least, I ain't aware of it. But we just feel a kind of way about that. And I have had situations, I'm telling you, I've had situations where a girl tries to get back at a friend of mine, ex-wife type shit, and I had to just sit back and see how it's going to play out, how far she's going to go with it. And then I just had to basically let her know, no, I can't do that. And I had to let my friends know. That was uncomfortable. And, one time, one of them, he kind of doubted me a little bit. And I was like, yo, man, this is me from fucking Woodbrook. The school we went to as young kids. Like, this is me I'm that guy. You already know the shit, how we grew up and all the bullshit we've been through. For you to even question me, to even think I would do that. I was like, yo, of course, we got beyond it. I was like, this is me. I'm that N-word. Motherfucker, like, no. That shit is a no-go. Now, there may have been some cornballs down the road that I really didn't know. And you know what? Something may have happened to them, but hey, they got what they had coming. They were dumb. They were cornballs, and hey, whatever. But there's certain loyalty there. And freedom doesn't excuse betrayal. So whether you say it's different survival strategies, everybody's going to have an opinion. I just think we just got to understand, and for the ladies out there, you got to understand, I ain't a female, so I ain't going to see it how y'all see it. I can try to empathize with you and understand, but I just think females will probably understand y'all better than me because I think the female fans are way harsher than the male fans. Females don't play, boy. They see everything, they hear everything, they smell everything, they can touch everything, they can sense everything. Don't mess with no females. I'm telling y'all right now, leave them women alone. Women are deadly, boy. Deadly. They ain't cutting Clarissa Shields no slack. I think more like the men, we tend to judge the outcomes. Women tend to judge the process. And boy, they watch that process with a fine-toothed comb. Where the men are out here asking, are they happy? Is anyone legally wrong? What's the big deal? Women are more like, man, shut your ass up. How did it happen? who was vulnerable, who lost dignity, when did it happen, why did it happen. They hit you with the who, what, when, where, why, how on some shit, won't they? That's why female criticism often feels emotional, because you know what? For the ladies, it is. Now, deception versus timing, right? It's a bit of a gray area here, because even I had to say, well, okay, I mean, if Papoose was single and Remy was doing her thing, okay, well, he's supposed to be lonely, you know, but again, I get it. There's a code. But if Remy out here doing her thing, why can't he? Shh, boy, wrong thing, wrong question for me to ask. Ladies, lit my ass up on the live. A lot of anger hinges on timing, not the relationship itself. Women are looking at the timing. First, the girl code being violated, then the timing of everything. Looks like all this crap was happening while he was married, before anything about him and Remy, about Remy Ma being with the other guy. And fans kept asking, you know what I'm saying? When they start looking at the timing of this shit, they're like, yo, was that friendship even genuine? Or was she always just trying to get to Papoose? You know what I'm saying? Were boundaries clear? Were they not clear? But he was a married man. She should have known not to even, act on any of her emotions and try to pursue him with her chicken head antics. She should have known not to do it. Then they're like, you know what? Was there some overlap emotionally? Was there some overlap physically? It's like, there's some ambiguity here that breeds suspicion. But we're sitting back looking, and the more they talk, because they don't know how to be silent, the more they talk, the more there's going to be speculation. And we got to feed into this, because it looks like she was trying to get at him while she was acting like she's Remy's friend. And that's why Clarissa Shields triggers such strong reactions specifically. You know what I'm saying? Clarissa represents strength, confidence, independence, and I don't need anyone. Also, when she come out here and say, I'll take your man. Yeah. If I want, I'll take your man. I'm Coco. I'm T. I'm so T. Yeah, bro. I'm T, bro. Look at me. I'm fine. I got a big, fat, juicy whopper ass. Look at me. Ma'am, please. You see, when you got someone with that image, appears to violate communal trust, it feels worse. Why? Because people expect powerful women to protect other women, not just themselves. But everyone has, for the most part, concluded that Clarissa Shields is not normal. Clarissa Shields may be struggling from arrested development, and although she's 30, she may really be stuck in the mind of like a 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old. And this is just going off of listening to her talk about her own trauma, her own struggles, and then her cousin, Wolfman Jack, Charlita, make my head hurt, fucking savage, coming out and talking about Clarissa Shields. Mother was getting a disability check, and Clarissa Shields is a bit Sesame Street. But the expectation may be unfair, but it's real. And it's a conversation that everybody's having right now. People have created YouTube channels just to talk about Clarissa Shields. Shit, I still do my regular boxing videos, but I sure as hell do a lot more. Actually, I don't do a lot more. It's just the lives at night as 95% Clarissa Shields. So, I mean, my videos are still pretty damn balanced. But that being said, are women right to be angry? Just from everything I understand, and I'm a good listener. I listen to the ladies, man. Yeah, the women, ladies, I'm telling you, you have a right to feel how you feel. You know what I'm saying? You do. And of course, I may not share your emotions and shit, because I just don't care about nothing. But when I listen to y'all, I totally understand. I understand y'all. I really do, man. The points y'all make and all the examples, everything that you guys have pointed out, I totally get it. You have a right to where you feel. You're not automatically right in your judgment, but you have every right to feel how you feel and to judge Clarissa Shields. You know what I'm saying? Anger is valid as an emotion. It's not always accurate as a conclusion, but it's valid as an emotion. Two truths can exist. Clarissa can be in love with Papoose, which seems to be quite obvious, and women can feel betrayed watching it unfold. So no villain is required for pain to exist. But Clarissa Shields has made herself into the villain. She's assumed the role. She acts and has acted like she doesn't care. And I just think this is where she may not really understand the importance of accountability and how her choice led to the consequence and how she's being punished right now throughout social media and on almost every damn platform. But some people say, yo, man, this is where the conversation can go too far. There's a difference between saying this hurt people and saying she deserves backlash forever. I say this. She's going to keep getting backlash until she learns to shut up. She encourages the negative attention. She encourages the backlash. And as my boy E-Dogs always says, as long as they're talking about you, that's all that matters. And maybe Clarissa Shields, she's cool with being the villain role and having people talk about her because that's all that matters when it comes to her profile and trying to grow her platform and hoping to get butts and seats for her event on February 22nd. But I think women often want acknowledgement, clarity, respect for emotional fallout. They don't always want destruction, they want recognition. But when I look at Clarissa Shields' situation here where Papoose, and Remy Ma and everything that's built to a head, I think there's some key lessons, man. Proximity creates responsibility. Silence creates narratives. Emotional intelligence matters as much as independence. And public figures live under emotional microscopes. And most importantly, being legally right doesn't mean being emotionally clean. But one thing's for sure, you can't be out here talking to a man who is with someone you're pretending to be friends with or trying to get to know. That shit is wrong. Especially if you met, even if not, but if you met the woman first and then all of a sudden through her you try to find a way to get to her man. That is some grimy shit. And even if you and her just kind of have a rapport, you're not really close like that. The proximity isn't something where you can say we're friends. But if you've talked, spoken, been cordial, and then you see, oh, that's her man, you should not be talking to that man, period. You see? And that's why I want to underscore. Female fans aren't angry. They're not angry because of a man. They're angry because trust, once broken, even symbolically, reminds them how vulnerable friendships can be and how the chicken head is always out there clucking, looking for a worm to swallow. This isn't about Clarissa alone. It's about how women protect each other and what happens when that protection feels breached. The bottom line is Clarissa Shields, to the ladies, she broke the girl code and the protection that women are supposed to have for each other. Clarissa breached it. Now the women don't like her. And I don't know if Clarissa can ever recover from this shit. Anyway, ladies, I hear you loud and clear. Don't cut the ass out of my drawers. Y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. Yo, I'm in the breeze.